Hello and welcome to SEGA News Bits Live. I'm Barry, and let me know how everything's working on that end for you guys. If you can see me, you can hear me. So a lot of cool news dropped yesterday, so I thought I'd just jump on, do a little video for y'all. But let's actually take a look at what news happened over the past week, or at least since I last did one of these videos. One cool bit of news that actually dropped was that Discotech Media, they revealed the Sonic X Japanese language collection release date and packaging. And if you remember last year, they said that this was going to be releasing late 2023, winter 2023. They gave it a very late date. And now it looks like it's actually been moved up to April of this year. And that is going to be, I know some people say it's not that big a deal. You can watch these on Hulu right now, but you also have to subscribe to Hulu. You have to sit through ads. So it's very nice to have them here, all on disc. Also, I believe Discotech's going the extra mile to give us just a little extra in terms of video quality. And it's going to have a few extras as well. It's going to have the original pilots. If you've ever seen those, it presents like Sonic in a world of like animals, almost like Sonic Forces. And it's going to have the intros and outros credit lists, so you can watch those. It's pretty basic in terms of extras, but it's just awesome that they're finally giving it a release, which really just leaves, I guess, Sonic Prime to be the only Sonic show to not yet be on a physical media. So, looking forward to more of that. Also, if you remember on the last video, I did talk about Cosmic Smash VR. So we are 4 days away from the reveal of that. So once that news drops, I don't think I'll do a video, but we'll put it up on segabits.com. You can check out what that's all about. A sad bit of news is that I laugh, but earlier this week we actually lost 3 SEGA games. They were pulled unceremoniously. Well, technically not pulled, but what happened was the 3 games, Daytona USA, Jet Set Radio, and Sega Vintage Collection Alex Kidd and Company, were pulled. I keep saying pulled. Yeah, they were pulled. The Xbox 360 Marketplace was the only way to purchase them, meaning you either had to go through a special storefront URL to buy them, or you had to go onto your Xbox 360 itself and purchase the games. And what they were, Daytona USA was a very well-made HD port of the original game. It does not have extras like Daytona USA 2 tracks or anything like that, but I would say it was probably the best way to play the game in modern times. Jet Set Radio is a big loss because, to be honest, I think the Xbox Series and One console was the only way you could play the game on modern platforms. I don't believe it's playable on PS4 or PS5. And you can play it on PC, so it's still there. So it wasn't, I don't believe it was a rights thing. I'm not exactly sure why these things were all pulled at the same time. Finally, Sega Vintage Collection, Alex Kidd and Company, that was a 3-pack developed by M2. And it was actually, it gets a little confusing, but essentially M2 was creating a lineup in Japan called Sega Ages Online. And it was a continuation of their Sega Ages 2500 series, which then shifted over to the Nintendo Switch with those most recent releases. But when they brought it to America, they changed the name to Sega Vintage Collection, which was already a collection of games from, I believe, Digital Eclipse was working on them. And so if you played them on the PlayStation 3, they were just individual titles. But if you played them on the Xbox 360, they were M2 games that were collected into these little 3-packs or 2-packs in some cases. They had full 3D menus. Alex Kidd and Company was the strangest one just because it had a Master System game, a Genesis game, and it had a arcade game. I believe it was Alex Kidd. I'm trying to remember what the second one was. Was it Shinobi or something? And then the third game was Hang On. And so, yeah, it was just kind of like an assortment. So, some people passed it up. I would have gotten it if I was you, just because it's nice to have M2 ports on anything. And it's gone now, so you can't get it. There are other collections out there. There's a Streets of Rage I believe. There is definitely a Golden Axe 1 through 3. There is a Toe Jam and Earl 1 and 2. So pick those up. They're still there. They're not unavailable yet. So, it's not the end of the world, but it's still, I think, a real shame that Jet Set Radio is not listed there because, oh, yes, it was Revenge of Shinobi. But yes, it's just a real shame that Jet Set Radio is no longer there because, I mean, I'm a huge, huge Jet Set Radio fan. I actually am in the very slow process of like working on a Jet Set Radio like book thing. I mean, it's such an early stage right now, but it's kind of sucks because I was kind of hoping when I would release it, more people would play the game. But now there's like the game's not out there to buy. Kind of sucks. In, I guess, positive news, Sonic Colors Ultimate is now available on Steam. I know that game raised a huge stink on social media when it released, but to be quite honest, I think the general public could give no shits about what social media thinks. So for a lot of people, it was just a classic Sonic game from the Wii era making its way to modern consoles. So it's cool to see it on Steam. I have not played it in a while, so I'm thinking of either picking this up or jumping back into the Xbox version just to see how the game plays, because I enjoyed it. I gave it a positive review when I played it on PS4. I didn't have any issues. So I don't know. I don't feel burnt by the game. I feel burnt by the community just because people were extreme assholes to me when I put that review up and when I just shared my personal experience in playing the game. Like, oh, you didn't get glitches, and I'm like, well, I wasn't playing the Switch version. So if I was playing the Switch one, I probably would have rated it lower. I didn't know about the Switch glitches until after the game released. I was playing a review copy, so how would I know? Anyway, internet can be so cruel. This is cool. So I'm now sponsored by G Fuel, so you can hit them up. I have the description below. But those are primarily to support the Fastest Food Alive videos. They essentially let me give out discount codes, and in turn, I get product from them. So I guess I'm getting something in the mail, like some drink packets and things. So it's fun. I don't know. I like freebies. I like energy drinks. So there we go. That's my life now. Sega Talk Sonic Triple Trouble dropped. Give that a listen. Real good. Our next episode next week is going to be World of Illusion. So I'm very much looking forward to covering that. And then here's the big news, or at least one of the two big news stories. So a Sonic the Hedgehog official cookbook is coming out. It is coming in October. It was written by Victoria Rosenthal, who worked on the Fallout, Destiny, Street Fighter, God of War, Pokemon, and Final Fantasy, whatever XIV is, 14 cookbook. And then Ian Flynn is also writing it. Of course, Ian, I don't think he's a chef, but he's going to be providing, I believe, like intros for all the recipes, kind of tying it into canon, putting a lot of little fan servicey tidbits in there. And I'm sure he worked with Victoria too, like saying, hey, here's something from Sonic's past that you could tie in with the cookbook. So I'm very much looking forward to that. This is a placeholder cover, so that's why it looks a little ugly. I think the final one's going to have a really nice photo of actual food from the cookbook itself. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this because I actually have the ear of, Sega's Sonic merch marketing licensing team, and I've always said to them, there's 3 things you guys need to make: Sonic art book, Sonic history book, Sonic cookbook. And they've done 2 out of 3, and I don't think they're listening to me specifically, but I think it helps when I get their ear and talk about that. Of course, there's not too much to show in the preview pages here. As you can see, it's all dummy text, so grain of salt on this stuff. It seems they're going to be doing blue tea, but again, this is all placeholder. It might just be like they just put something in there, design not final. Chili dogs, of course, will be in the book, and it seems like they have a lot of different varieties. Honestly, there should be a whole section on chili dogs, and I'm sure there will be. And then this one I'm hoping is real. It's Evil Cookies. So again, all placeholder text, but I'm looking forward to what this will end up being. Um, Now, the question I'd like to have Ian Flynn answer is this book going to be food inspired by the franchise that we are like eating here in the real world? Or is it going to be food that like exists within Sonic's world? Like, are they going to go so far as to have, um, I don't know, like recipes from like Arabat in Alaska, like Sonic Unleashed world sort of stuff? Or is it just going to be like Amy Rose's pink smoothie? Um, I'm hoping it's going to be a mix. I hope there'll be something where it's like, hey, I'm Knuckles, and here's how you make a grape pie. And hey, I'm Tails, here's how you make mint cookies. Like that would be a little more fun than just being like, oh, everything's blue, you know? Um, but we'll see. Looking forward to that coming out October. I'm going to try to pester uh, Victoria here, see if we can't get her on for an interview. I think that would be fun to talk food. Lastly, the big news is that Samba de Amigo Party Central was announced during the Nintendo Direct yesterday. Very excited for that. This is a return of the franchise. The franchise has been dormant since really 2008. Of course, Amigo has had many appearances in games from 2008 onwards. In fact, I believe in 2008 there were 3 Samba de Amigo sightings. He was in the Wii remake. He was in the what was it? The Sonic Riders Zero Gravity as a playable character, and then he was also in Sega Superstars Tennis. I actually have a lot of games here, so let's actually switch over to the main cam, and we'll just take a quick look here. So here is obviously the game that started it all was Samba de Amigo in arcades. So I don't have that on display here, but the Dreamcast version released to Japan fairly soon after that, followed by the American and European release of Samba de Amigo. And then version 2000 came out, which sadly did not get ported, or I should say released in any other territory. It was Japan only. However, if you were like me and you had the Maraca accessories, you dropped $80 on a pair, and you only had one game that worked with it, you have to pick this up. It was just like a no-brainer. Like, import this, and then your maracas have more play. And following from that was really a whole lot of nothing until, and I'm trying to see if I'm getting my years right here. I don't know what year. Well, I know this came out in 2008, and this is Samba de Amigo for Wii. It was actually developed by Gearbox Software. And so I've seen people online saying, like, is this a sequel? Is this a remake? Is this a port? This is I would call it both a sequel and a remake. There are new songs, new modes, new locations, cameos from Sega characters. It's a completely new game from these. It's not like they took these games and then ported them to Wii. They built it from the ground up. They worked with new hardware, new control schemes, and the end result was a game that was very, I think, ambitious. If you look on our Twitter account, we actually have video of them recording new music for it, and it looks like the music team were really involved. There's a fantastic CG intro you can check out online, but the end result was a game that just did not control that well. And I think the reason is that with the Wiimote, you had to, this was up, this was middle, and this was down. And so it wasn't about how high or low you went with the maracas, it was the angle you went with them. So you'd have to, even though you were shaking up, middle, down, you could really sit there and just do this, which looks kind of lewd. But it did not play very well, which was a real shame because this was, I think, his big return, his big chance to become a franchise again. And it just kind of flopped. If you can see here, $4.99 is when I picked this up several years ago. These have been on used shelves at GameStop for about a decade. Like, this was the game you could find at any store for anywhere from $4.99 or less. So I think really the only time we had another chance to play the game, and I'm trying to see, maybe someone can tell me in the comments what year this came out, but it is Sega Superstars. Let's see, I don't see the year. But Sega Superstars for the iToy was the only other time that the core Samba de Amigo gameplay was playable on something. And with the iToy, it looked at you on the screen and it saw where your hands are. So it was actually a bit more accurate than the Wii version. Actually, I think maybe this came before the Wii version. I'm not sure. Accurate in terms of controls, but it was still a mini game on a compilation. And then lastly, Rhythm Thief and the Emperor's Treasure, and this is like a super rare game now, I guess, or expensive for the physical release. So pick it up digitally before the shop closes. But in this game, this was directed by Shun Nakamura, who also directed the... what else did he do? He also directed Samba de Amigo, and I think he also worked on Billy Hatcher. But he was a producer for Sonic Team, still is. He produced Sonic Forces and some other games. And back in 2017, and let's actually jump back over to the screen. I'll show you this. So back in 2017, in an interview, Shun Nakamura said, so this was about bringing Samba de Amigo back to the Switch. And he said, I really, really want to make it. This is coming from someone who had to make physical items you had to buy and plug into your console in order to play Samba de Amigo at home. When the Wii came out, there was only one Wii remote and you had to buy another one. You could still do it, but it was a bit of a hurdle to get over. The first time I saw the Switch, I thought, oh my God, this is it. You don't have to buy another peripheral. You don't need another controller. I'm really, really interested in that. And this was 2017. So since then, Shun Nakamura made Rhythm Thief and the Emperor's Treasure, which is a fantastic game. I absolutely love this game. Check it out. Buy it digitally. But there is a mini game in here where you play Samba de Amigo, but of course it's controller only. It's only, using the arrow buttons on one side and the letter buttons on the other side. But still, it's a very, very fun game and a very cool little nod to his past works. But, he makes a great point when he... in that Eurogamer interview from 2017, which, I guess came after this came out, but when the original Samba de Amigo released, the game was $40. The controller, the maraca, one pair of maracas was $80. So if you were going to buy two maracas and the game, you were looking at a $200 purchase. Now, you could save a little money and buy like the main official controllers, and then for player 2 you could buy a third-party one. Actually, that's what I did. I have two third-party controllers, so I actually have 3 sets of maracas: the official, the Cha-Cha Amigo, and then I forgot what the other one is called. They all have funny names. But then when the Wii one came out, and it sounds like, I don't know if he was how involved he was with that, but it is interesting to hear him talk about like the controller and stuff. So I have to imagine he was involved on some level. I'm trying to see if there's even like credits here. No, I'd have to watch the credits on the game itself to see how involved he was. But yeah, they would have it so that you could play with 2 Wiimotes, or you could play with the Wii and the nunchuck. But like I said, both ways were not ideal. Finally, the Switch comes out, and yes, the Switch Joy-Cons, you have 2 right there. It comes with them. The base console has the controls you need. If you buy one more set, that would be $80. The game, Samba de Amigo Party Central, is going to be $40. So right there, it's already cheaper to play Samba de Amigo on the Switch than it was on the Dreamcast. And that's not any slight to the Dreamcast, but I'm just trying to say that one of the downsides to the Dreamcast version is that there was a high price to buy in to play the game, which means a lot of people have not properly played it. And a lot of people's introduction was the Wii version, unfortunately. So I'm feeling very positive about what we're going to see with Party Central. I actually have the Japanese trailer here that we will watch now. And then after that, I'll have a few more thoughts on it, and then I think we'll close things up. So let's jump in.
3, 2, 1サンバでアミーゴの完全新作が登場。ジョイコンをマラカスに見立て、音楽に合わせて飛んでくるリズム玉に合わせてシェイク。画面の指示に合わせてポーズ、ダンス、
of the Joy-Con.
さらに
It's based
食
on
の途中に
height.
予測不能な
So
お題も
that
降りかか
gets
る
me excited because that's much closer to how
また
the
2人
original
で協力してプレイ
played.
するラブチェッカーでお互いの相性を診断
There's
したり
love mode, so that's
キャラクターをカスタ
I
マイズ
also
する
really
こ
like
とも
that
可能
you can give Amigo
オ
different
ンラインで遊
costumes.
ぶ
I know
ワールド
people
パーティーはスコアが
bemoaning
低
the
い
lack
プレイヤーから
of
順に脱落する
sombrero,
バトル
but
ロ
as
イ
you
ヤル
can see here, I'll pause it. We can go back just a little bit. Who's this right here? Do you see him in the? I don't really have a pointer, but here. He's right there. Look at what's that on his head? It's a sombrero. So yeah, sombreros have gone nowhere. It's not, there's no PC taking your precious sombrero. I also noted that a lot of his friends are still there. A lot of his little buddies from the game, but I could not see the girl in the cheetah outfit. I see the butterfly woman, and they all have names. Butterfly woman is named, let's see if they're all in here. Yes, so that is Linda, and then there's Amiga, who's the female monkey. There is Rio, who is the pop idol tiger lady. There's Chumba and Wumba, who you see quite a bit in here, who are the two leopards. And then there are the big teddy bears named Bingo and Bongo. Also, you'll note here too the characters in the background there. They are newish, I guess, but if you play the original Samba de Amigo, you'll note that any background characters are just like very low poly, like things jumping around. These are like full on backup dancers. They very much look inspired by Rhythm Thief. And I see in the comments that the cheetah guys are guys. Yes, I'm talking about, you can see them here. That's Chumba and Wumba. And I'm talking about Rio. And maybe Rio is a guy. Is Rio a guy? But once you get to know him. That's right. Yeah, Rio's a guy. Forgot about that. Very effeminate guy. Cute though. I'll say that. But let's just finish up the trailer here. See, there's the boys. So where is Rio? Rio Hazuki. You know, that bothers me now. I have not seen Rio in any official art. Yeah, I don't see. I see the bears. I don't see Rio. I think Rio got canceled. And yet they do show Amigo in a dress, so I guess they're okay with that. Yeah, but overall, very excited for the game to release. Also, worth pointing out too, there is an official social media account now for Samba de Amigo. You can see it here. And they actually made a cool post that shows a screenshot that I've not seen anywhere else, and I believe this is how the game kicks off. So it's like the introduction. You hold the Joy-Cons, and then I'm assuming you're going to reach down and pull the maracas out. And so that's kind of a fun little moment in the game kicking off. Yeah, so I don't really have much more to say about the game. I'm excited for it. It's going to be, by all accounts, the first true sequel from SEGA themselves. I showed all the games here earlier. This is the original. This is the, I would say, updated version, but not a sequel. In fact, I believe they plan to do a version 2001. In fact, they were going to bring this to America as Samba de Amigo version 2001, but it was canceled. And I think the plan was to do revisions every year at a lower cost, and it would kind of become the Dreamcast's music series. But yes, so as mentioned, Gearbox did this one. They are not involved with the new game coming out. In fact, Shun Nakamura, who was the director of the original, is tweeting quite a bit about it. And I do believe if this is not a Sonic Team game, it's definitely being handled by former Samba de Amigo staff and possibly some Sonic Team staff members. But Sega's very loosey-goosey with what they refer to as Sonic Team. So it probably won't have Sonic Team on the box or in the intro, but you're going to see some recognizable names throughout. So very excited for this. Happy to see, presuming he's the director, Nakamura back in the director's seat, or at the very least in a very controlling place. Also to see that this is likely Japanese developed. So good to see that. And 40 songs, you know, tons of outfits. There's a lot of possibility. I'm sure we're going to see a Sonic outfit. They're going to do that. They always do that. So, yeah, all in all, very, very excited to see it back. And I'm looking forward to learning more about it. As soon as I learn more about it, I'll post it to segabits.com. Oh, and I also have my little Samba de Amigo figure here from All Stars Racing. There he is. So, yeah, let's party. And I'm looking forward to when it comes out. We're going to be doing SegaBits community gaming nights. We'll bring those back and see how many people we can get online to shake some maracas. So until more news drops, we will see you next time. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to check out those links below. We're on Patreon, and then we got the G Fuel sponsorship going. So enjoy, party, samba, bailan.